Demolition Derby and vehicular combat games are an interesting subject, to put it one way. Generally, it's referred to in the past tense, with games such as the first two Flatouts, Test Drive Eve of Destruction, and one of my weird personal favorites, Mayhem. Not all of them in that time were great, by no means, but there were more than you could shake a stick at. But if you look at the current generation and even the last generation of consoles, the landscape of Demolition Derby games is essentially a barren wasteland, excluding the odd mobile game, of course. That is, except for one outlier, the shining star in an uninhibited, desolate wasteland. That shining star, that glimmer of hope, goes by the name of Wreckfest. Let's start with a little bit of history on Wreckfest and the developers that made it. It was in early stages for years under the name of Next Car Game, and Bugbear was the developer. The game originated with a failed Kickstarter, but the early sandbox was still released in January of 2014. It started as one unlicensed muscle car in a big, free-roaming environment that looked somewhat like a modern mobile game. It did make quite an impact though, with everyone from Jacksepticeye to YVR making a video on the early form of the game. This was enough for THQ Nordic, the people responsible for games like Baja Edge of Control and MX vs ATV, to help. This ended up resulting in a polished game with a career mode, multiple cars, a great soundtrack, and other additions to Windows in 2018 and consoles in 2019. Despite the mild graphical update, you can still tell that this game is undoubtedly Next Car Game at its roots for several reasons. The look of the cars, the gritty feel, the great sounds, and the handling, to name a few. In early stages it was fun, but it lacked substance. But now it's a game you could lose yourself for hours in, with an engaging career mode and incredible online play. The premise of the game is simple. You're a new competitor in the national banger racing and demolition derby scene, and you're making a name for yourself. You start the game off with a two-door notchback Mustang, but by the end you'll have a solid number of cars at your disposal. Everything from a Saab 96 to a Jaguar XJ to a 3rd Gen Supra. And now the DLC has come in, there are even more interesting choices, including a heavily modified Mini Cooper, an R33 Skyline, and an Opel Manta 400 Group B rally car. Did I mention that all of these cars can be modified with armor, exterior body kits, paints, liveries, and performance parts? It's not all just normal stuff either. Just as while there are normal demolition derbies and banger races, there are lawnmowers, motorized couches, combine harvesters, Reliant Supervan for some reason. And let me tell you, any of the previously mentioned vehicles are good for a riot online with your friends. The actual feel of these cars is astounding. It's exactly what you would expect from a game filled with junkers, beaters, and boats. It's just floaty enough while still being controllable enough to recover from a slide. Genuinely, if there's one complaint I have, it's that it's a little bit too easy to spin cars and be spun yourself sometimes. It is an incredibly rewarding game as well. I never found it impossible at any point throughout my playthrough of the career. I always knew what I was doing wrong, and I always figured out how to counteract that and then eventually win. The physics are incredibly easy to pick up, but they take time to master, which I have not by any means. The unfortunate thing about this game is it represents the last surviving example of a game genre on life support. If you don't believe me, try and name yourself another AAA demolition derby game. You can't. Or at least I can't. And here's the thing. I don't think that's going to change. I believe that Wreckfest will be the very last non-mobile demolition derby game. And that's a really shitty sentence to have to say. Generally, I do tell people that I adore full sims and simcade racing games much more than fully arcade racers. I grew up with Gran Turismo, so of course I would say that. The only exception here has been the odd demolition derby game though. And if I've had a hard day, Wreckfest or a different demolition derby game will be my go-to stress relief every single time. So if you want some of the most destructive fun you'll ever have short of doing it in real life, give Wreckfest a try. You won't regret it.